Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour of the week. We are almost done here. Get you set for a great sports weekend on tap. We'll do that before we wrap things up. But the Friday before the NSIC tournament hits Sioux Falls, it has become tradition that we visit with our next. I think we've done this 3 years running, so I texted him yesterday, like, hey, we got to keep doing this, especially if you're on the bus. UMary women's basketball head coach Rick Neumann joins us as they're on their way again to Sioux Falls and the Pentagon, the NSIC tournament, one of the great college basketball tournaments around. Restarts tomorrow. The Maruders have a date with Southwest Minnesota State coming up on Sunday. Are you wheels up, so to speak, or have you not left yet?
Yes, Dom. We are just down the bottom of the UMary Hill heading to Sioux Falls, so it's exciting to be with you again in our annual trip.
Yeah.
Always appreciate you having me on.
So first, congrats are in order. We read off the awards yesterday on the air of you got 2 all-conference players, first-team players. Again, we talked earlier this year about the year you were having. That's awfully impressive to make the all-NSIC first team.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, Allison Unland from Mohall and Bergen Kinnenbrew from right here in Bismarck at Bismarck Century High School were both first-team all-conference players. And a little, what would you call it, Dom? A nerd stat? Is that what you have?
Absolutely.
Or a nerd note or whatever, right? This would be a good one for you, but the University of Mary women's basketball team now has the longest active streak of consecutive first-team all-conference players in the Northern Sun. So I think that's something to really be proud of. That's
something to be recruiting with, not telling me about. That's out on the recruiting trail with, right?
Well, I know your listening audience branches out so far that news is traveling fast already right here in real time.
So to have that, describe how this season has gone. Has this been beyond what you thought for this year, or is this was what you thought you could do this season?
Well, I think it's a fair question, and it may be a little bit of a loaded one because I don't want to seem like the guy that didn't believe in his own squad. But, right, if you would have told me, at the beginning of October when we started practicing that come the last weekend of February / first weekend of March, you're going to the Pentagon, you got a bye, you tied your program record with wins, you had the player of the year in the conference. I mean, I think we'd have all said, you're in the hunt for a national tournament bid. I think we'd have all said, yeah, sign me up, right? So I don't want to disparage our kids by saying, wow, what a kind of shock the world type of season, because we knew internally that we had some pretty good players that people maybe weren't quite aware of yet as far as, their opportunity, or as the Northern Sun says, their time to shine. So I think we knew that we could do something like this, but it's still to actually do it is really gratifying and something that we just always want to be appreciative of, especially with the start of the year that we had. We started out 7-0, 6 of those being in the non-con. We won the tournament out in Billings, going 3-0 and won some nationally ranked teams there. And then also that next weekend in the Conference Challenge event, we went 2-0 for the first time in the history of our program against 2 teams from the NCAA. And one of those, Central Missouri, it's frustrating because that's a great win for us. And those suckers, I think I looked last night, they won like 11 in a row, and so that nationally you're as good as anybody out there. We just are in such a tough region that it makes it extremely difficult. And you really have to have a continuation of not only a good start and a great finish, but you've just got to be really good all year long to make the national tournament out of our region.
I got to ask here, because you've done this both ways. You've played on the Wednesday and gone down, and you've had the bye. Is there advantage, no advantage? Is it not a big deal for you guys? Because you obviously didn't play. Southwest did play on Wednesday.
Right. I think it's an old Dean Smith mantra we always talked about where, you don't necessarily build momentum going into the tournament, because we've seen a lot of hot teams go in and lose the first game in a tournament. Right. And so I think you build that momentum within the tournament. So for us, I think it was important to have a week off. We were playing about 7 kids. And we had a little, Bergen was kind of beat up in the last month. She had a knee injury a little bit where it took her a little time to get back to full strength. Allison Unland's got a banged up elbow. So those are our 2 best kids. And, they needed some health. And I do think too, Dom, maybe when you have a young team like we do with only 1 senior, right? I think the week off was good for us. Now we'll see. But because the other thing that can happen, Dom, is like weird things happen in a 1-game scenario, right? And so, home playoff games at UMary are one of the most enjoyable experiences ever for a student athlete at our university. I mean, it would be packed, and we experienced that last year. But I think when you look at maybe the struggles and the weirdness that we had in our last home game against Jamestown, it's like, okay, see, ladies, like the ball bounces weird things happen. So if you can avoid that one game scenario where you might not make it down to the Pentagon, I think we're all happy that we're on the bus today, not having played on Wednesday night.
Southwest, you played. They got you earlier. It's one of the, we have 16 teams in the league. You only get to play them once. Is how badly you want another crack at them here tomorrow?
I think our girls really do, because we didn't play our best down there, and they really played well. And give them some credit. They're probably part of the reason why we didn't play well. But I think knowing that you're on a neutral court now, it's a one-game scenario. We both have had a couple of days to prep for each other now. We're down there. That was coming off of an overtime win that we had the night before at Sioux Falls. We traveled there. We got in late. We sat around all day and then played an early evening game, which is weird for us in our league on back-to-back. So I know our girls, when we watch the film, they're like, oh, yeah, man, I was just so exhausted. I was tired. Or now we've had a little more time to prep. So, again, anything can happen in that scenario. They have some very talented players. They're a good team. They were picked to finish second or third, ended up finishing fifth. We were picked sixth, ended up finishing fourth. So it's two good teams with some good players, and I think it's going to be an entertaining game on Sunday for the fans.
I have to add, just with how difficult this tournament is, just to get there, and you've had success to go down there and win a couple games, just having past knowledge of going down there, how much does that help? I know you got a younger team, but you've had players go down there. Can you use that memory, to help out this weekend?
I think so. Most of our girls that are in the primary of this team, they were either a contributor like Bergen, or they were redshirting, but they were on the bench just 2 years ago when we advanced to our first program's, championship game experience. And then last year, those girls were kind of thrust into a more prominent playing role. And we won a playoff game on a Wednesday night and went down. And unfortunately, we're on the wrong side of the bracket and got steamrolled by Mankato again, which has kind of been the story of our tournament experience, matching up with those guys and not getting over the hump yet. So someday it will. Maybe this year in the semis, hopefully we get that chance to play them again. Or maybe they lose tomorrow, Dom, and we win. And it's just, us and St. Cloud on Monday in the semifinals. But I do think you can use it. And I think for us, you said it, Tom, like it is the best Division II tournament in the country. All the teams, men and women, we stay at the same hotel. The tournament staff, the hotel staff, they just take such great care of you. The Pentagon, awesome facility. You get gifts every game you win. I mean, I want the chance, Tom, to come on here next year and validate this. But we have a ton of coaches in our league that talk about how sometimes the regional experience is less than the Pentagon, because again, you're playing at someone's home court, and if you're not that team hosting, there's just no fans. Where here, you're just going to be surrounded by basketball fans all weekend long. And so, like I said, I want the chance next year to say, yeah, that was true. But until then, I'm going to just keep hanging my hat on this as a great experience. And I'm so fortunate that we're back here for the 8th time in a row, and we just never want to lose sight of that. I'm glad that our standard has elevated where, like, getting here is that's just the expectation, and we're going to have a great time tonight going to Carnival and like eating like crazy to celebrate a great year. For the Catholics in our team, we got a dispensation from the bishop, which allows us to go absent of the fast today, right? So, I mean, we just got all things going on right now. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go celebrate Bergen's Player of the Year award with the other coaches of the league and the other award winners tonight too. And then tomorrow we're going to have a chance to sit down and watch really high-level basketball. And I hope that just that experience, being a part of that tomorrow, will help calm some of the nerves that'll be there Sunday for these girls that are, again, first-time starters in a playoff game in the Pentagon, or big-time minutes for the first time. So we're going to have to rely on Chloe Fowl. We're going to have to rely on Bergen Kinnebrew. We're going to have to rely on Eden Fridley. Those three started playoff games last year in the Pentagon for us, and Bergen's been doing it for a couple of years. But we're going to need those kids to carry us here as the others are going to have some understandable jitters.
So we were texting about this yesterday. I was thinking about this as well the last time you were on, and this is it's not a slight at Logan Nisley, but that Bergen was on that team, those great Century teams, and we were so focused on Logan, and rightfully so. She's a tremendous player. She's playing in Nebraska, but I don't know if that took the shine off of how good a player Bergen was in high school, because she was really, really good, and obviously it's only developed now in college.
I think that there's definite credibility to that, right? Like it was just all about Logan and all of these D1 offers. And again, you're right. She's had a great career. And I mean, we recruited her too, obviously, but just the Bergen kind of be that behind the scenes score. And then you look at her numbers and you're like, wow, right? Like really good. And so I think you've seen her game elevate at the college level. And, we're fortunate that Century High School girls, we've got, a couple of them on our roster. We got another one coming next year, but they're really well coached by Nate Wellstead, who's a good friend of mine. And, they know how to guard from day one. Yeah. They play conceptually like we do at Mary in a collegiate style. So they know how to cut and move and space off the ball. And so, they come in really prepared, but their opportunity to play early is really accelerated for Bergen. And now you're seeing that with her, being culminating in her winning the Northern Sun North Division Player of the Year.
All right, let's hit with a really hard item here before we go. Who originated the hashtag Swaggy Sock Saturday? You know how much of a sock maven I am. Who started that on Twitter?
Boy, it's been a while for us. I think it goes back to my assistant coach, Jason Schmitz, who is a few assistants ago. I think we kind of somehow came up with that idea, looking for something unique, something fun to do. We came up with that about, 9-10 years ago, and it's just really taken off. And the fun part was that I enjoy is we had the Fridleys hosted our team for a pregame meal here last week, and they gifted everybody a pair of socks. And then you find out now that those socks find their way into kind of a collective bin. Our senior this year, Cassie Erickson, she's the provider of socks on Saturdays, if anyone forgets. So it is fun to see that. And I hope that the fans and people, recruits, all of those people just enjoy some of those unique traditions that we have as a team, where we make sure that we're trying to enjoy ourselves during what can be a long, grinding season of buses and cold and winter and basketball and coaches yelling and like the ball not going in at times. So we want to have that joy be something that's apparent in our program.
Last thing, keep the fashion going. Did you bring the orange sports coat? Is that with you this weekend?
It is it'll be a game time decision. I talked to my tailor yesterday about getting a couple of maybe shirts and ties that were ready. And when I walked in to grab those, just so conveniently, he had laid out some other items too. And so maybe one of those did find its way. I said, nice. Maybe I can do this if you can promise the alterations are done on time. And when so shockingly, Dom, you can, right? So we might see something just totally new on Sunday as well.
Right. That's there's a tease. Now, you're in the business, man. That's a heck of a tease for people to watch your game on Sunday. This was great, bud, as always. Safe travels and good luck Sunday, and hopefully we talk soon, okay?
I hope we're talking next week about going to the national tournament, but always appreciate the chance to spend the morning with you.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes, Rick Neumann, head coach of the University of Mary women's basketball team. Marauders have Southwest Minnesota State coming up. That game is on Sunday at 11. The Dragons are there as well. MSUM will play their game at 1:30 tomorrow against Concordia St. Paul. The first game right out of the chute. If you want to see elite basketball, watch Mankato play. Mankato has not lost on the women's side. They have St. Cloud State right out of the chute at 11 a.m. tomorrow. If they win and UMary wins, they'll play in the semifinals coming up on Monday morning at 11 a.m. I love that tournament. Midco does a great job in producing it and putting it on, and looking forward to watching over the next few days. It is high-level basketball. And typically, just look last year, Carson Johnson and what he did last year for MSUM. You're going to see players there, and this is just the nature of the beast. Players there, they're going to play in Division I basketball next year. It's just the nature of the beast. Let's take our final break. We come back. We got a loaded sports weekend. We'll get you ready for that. Get you out the door. Is Hot Mike on a Friday morning. We'll wrap on WDAY Extra right after this.